Thanks to Wilson for inviting me into this space. I've actually never been in this space before today. Yeah, nice to meet you all. I'm going to read some poems. I was doing this project where I went and sat in on the works of some small dance companies in Philadelphia, which is where I've been living for the past 8 years. And the companies were very small companies, and I got really interested in the language they were using in the studio to develop their work. So I sat in on about 4 companies, I guess, Moving Parts and the Workshop for Potential Movement, and then work by Greg Holt, who works with Green Chair Dance in Philadelphia, and also choreographer Sarah Yaski. So I'm Laura. I'm going to read some poems for you guys who just came in. So I've been working on some poems that are engaging with some of the language that I found in the studio. This piece is called Insect Object Photography is Not How I Love You, the Multiples Formula, a choreographic method for severing a movement from a beach while reproducing the divers from before. A note. Peering into Berkeley's kaleidoscope, we find that out of which we attempt to form the equation for multiples. One popular theory of spectatorship posits the person watching dance experiences mirror neurons or biological empathy. As the mover's hip turns, nerves fire in order to simulate precisely that movement in the spectator's neurological field. The problems begin. Neurology as practical somatics. Biology triggers something we call like empathy and choice. Each time you begin a girl diving into the water. Image replicas of layer cakes, letters on paper, standing in for printed download, having replaced stills from video footage that's streaming, a remainder from film reels, girls diving into water which isn't, can't remain, only that. Escape hatch from the wrong kind of space. I'm building a large glass platform, turning, the faces of which will produce endless replicas. Easy girls in swim caps, endless patterns of symmetrical forms span without horizon. Even the original water thus becomes an invitation for doubt. Want to know if she's one of the fleshier characters or a synchronized swimmer, produced by some unsighted agreement between platform, builder, the lens that contains the dissemination but also the act of looking? You a cyborg for wanting? Photograph of layer cake goes here. Formulas for being left alone to return to the beach in the car where you first came out. The first is always arbitrary. Which girl happens to be the one diving when you first glance up? Which movement M to choose out of all possible? Anyway, scale this M to 1% kinesphere and localize. Then move 1% M to another bodily location so it happens there instead, while still remaining the same essential. This isn't possible, but we can try. Precision then a value? At some point your performance improves when you forget the formula and cheat. You remember it where there are beaches, but your glance will invariably fall off from the first, if only to look at the water or because you're getting thirsty. Doing multiples, you could be the cake, the pool, and Busby's camera's eye, which is to say initiation 1% M at multiple locations at once, even overlapping start times, many girls diving. Each time we think we begin to want something, another jumps. We could say water's duration since it leaks and connects and separates us, and since, in the case of the pool at least, provide relief to that environment by the fact of bodies being in it, moving and charging the atmosphere, ensuring the continued relevance, resurfacing. As movement M is set in motion within a series of bodily locations, waterfalls become pleasing pattern intended for a viewing platform. The materials arranged before you arrive, the thought of you present before you appear, displacing water from the other divers. This thought could be pleasing. To say some of these instances of movement M are fleshier, others glass, is to wonder if the body where M takes place as volume disappears into the difference, while what has become when we is watching, the score of the forgotten dance of horizon replacing what separates the one watching the movement from it. But still, the girls made an infinite pattern of symmetrical forms on the glass. I fixed the camera high. A fleshier character says, "Let's go for a swim." Trying to keep together and stay accurate turns the space between our bodies into another substance, no longer water nor the liminal celluloid gender escape hatch we drop in. We can explore a surface experientially or search for response mechanisms. Obstacle, tension, force, a story, a car chase instead of a surface. When we try to move without breaking or violating it, something M, which we know is deeply embedded in its environment, in fact, intractable, we do this and continue with the dance formula, pretending among us this possibility remains open to us. There is glass. The glass that doing the slogs through your perceptual apparatus has distinct properties and not others. We experience time like plucking chunks of sea glass off the beach's surface, placing them in jars we hold to our faces, squinting. The jars make us stop talking and look at that jar. The total surface area of that part of the beach in which we are able to even imagine making contact with that jar is what percentage? This is not the glass of flowers crafted during a 19th century cataloging expedition that funded two men's craft for 50 years, paid to breathe so carefully, one expressing epistolary despair at a decade's worth of experiment which failed to approximate the exact red of a sugar maple as it forms just at that moment fall hits New England. No, what we call glass taking over could be inside that realization that it is no longer possible nor ethically viable to remain precise. Call it scale, not community. Breath, not approximating speech acts that attempt in recreating the action, but also invoke a sense of environment, bringing here over there, scaling M, a way of sharing a room but not a position, or wanting on the platform, or somatic white noise, a body creating extra surfaces from which to bounce the reflection of what can't, while we continue to exist, can be localized, a dot severed from its grammatical and seasonal functions, a book without a beach on which to read it. In wrenching M out of where it actually occurred to make it happen in a shoulder or knee joint, we can't not degrade its essential form. Directionality, degree of muscle give or strain, whatever features distinguish the beginning and end M don't make it. The translation from one interior as sight to another definitionally deteriorates, especially the start and stop that denotate M and separate it from all the intentional and unintentional little M's around it. Those durational anchors that represent as much as, in this case, are points in space we could go to, observe, get in, start instead sliding on an endless scale that runs from indulging to fight against. No flowers to offer up, no attention condensed into easy objects swimming or pressed beneath a heat lamp, no organic plucking, preserved, shipped in a rotting crate across multiple seas, no specimen become the idea or desire for form forged or carefully regulated into a dead man's record, insect as object or sculpture photography, a body's record of its inactivity, blending into environment to record the act of looking or the impulse to describe the world in order to fix it. A set of cutaneous organs permitting the simulation of the imperfections of leaves. A series of waterfalls like a layer cake. Wasn't this the 30s? They all appear to be wearing the same suit, and many of them a bathing cap. Epigraph. Greg. We want to find a way to warm up our insides. Let's name the interior state so we can get back there without claiming any alignment to exterior realities such as muscle, bone alignment, but still return to this position X with precision, ease. So I'm going to read from a few different shorter pieces. And Wilson is providing the time for me. So this is called The Word for World is Forest Poem. In the off frequencies, to begin degenerates, giving off charge, image every time. While you're busy fucking all the trees and pissing into them, standing up. Image is whatever has to leave the poem forest the minute you enter it. I have this crush. Hate books, eat military gel from little packets during 40 field training. Event shelters one from the other for the fact of what is happening, shelters from and into books more. Image leaves what enters image time. You touch toward the poem to begin it, a runner touches off on ground. Since the poem is not another you, both move then, but not opposing. Some of that touch might not make it. In another book, Oh No, the Distance. You missed the poem. Your hand is spatially challenged now. But poem won't let me, says no, don't do that. We get in fights, don't measure the distance, ride bikes over the distance. We get in don't from lines. You say this place doesn't yet exist. I know it does. The flat line over it strong myself. You say it's not flat enough. I tell your modernism to shut up and fight. Forest sways drunkenly out there on the line. I'm not sorry. Sorry is for Canada, is what happens when we get a little bit closer to north, to that other tree line, the one lacking all the good stuff. What image takes breath, you takes image, is time. Can hear it in between the still there trees, the there, and the we who like getting it wrong forest warbling. If we're serious about valuing what is trans or fluctuant, we'll follow that thing or substance the poem gives off, rather than fixate on the remainder. This one is called Storm Clouds Will Poison You. Dear infant hydrangea, chains of those flowers will forever connect whatever you're reading with what I'm reading, what you taste with this next thought. That's a culture conjoined. The animals don't like this. They tear at my shirt, slobber, and tell me material is caring more about what's present than what's not. This isn't always possible, but we can try. Say you first learn about sickness while looking at the sky. This image creates a fold in you, since it will from now on function both as a central cloud around which other emotional vocabulary can cluster, and will also become its own unit within that vocabulary, combinable with other units in order to build further structures for thinking on which to get closer to the sky. Watching from below, we can see that this person will never again see the sky. It's too much a part of how you think and know now. The child wonders, but what about the clouds? What clouds? I want in on this cloud that's in you clustering. The animals like that, okay. They send me a care package, tick repellent, spicy tea, and time in the form of dirty photos you took of yourself before we met. I forget to read the label, accidentally poison myself with a bottle that isn't meant for skin. How are we doing, Wilson?
You have a couple more minutes.
All right, a couple more. How's everybody?
Yes.
This one is called Second Attempt. This page needs more forgetting than even you wanted. To get to the next sentence, forget rosemary, how to go to sleep. Forget what certain words make nerves fire like tunnels we dig through fucking back into a field you escaped to as a child after a great calamity. The grass neon green, chest high. Forget the scars a surgeon left behind on purpose after your great leap. You keep telling me to listen, but I can't stop defending my latest syntactical position. Shh, you say, you're missing it, love, or maybe just the words themselves, begging to be erased one by one, like a lover crying out for this one kind of touch, and not only, as if one sound alone could sate us. Surely this new kind of reading or writing, or whatever it is we're doing where our technologies can't help but touch, will result in a new and improved human substance. How did talking start to require such a decollage of tools? Do you really need to keep 3 kinds of fake milk, 5 different sizes of dildo on hand at all times? Are we really that specific? And indeed, what kind of strange creature have we made of ourselves that takes a racing for reading, a need for a want, your no for years later the house? One is called Stop the Flowers. As a message passes from the abdominal region into an object of social exchange, time also passes, a whole season. The words that carried it get so wet they leak, arrive illegibly. Don't worry, you'll soon figure out how to read it. After all, you gave up 5 other subject positions in order to learn to read the body that used to be your only shot. Keep living in, you say, and that's a lot of pressure. What happened to reading for sport? Where a message leaks, a lot of sports. We play them in the wind next to the daffodils. Instead of a ball, we're passing a book. It's reading your palm, telling you what to erase next. There are a lot of us here gathered, but does this book, the one you're so busy not becoming, the one that tells you 101 ways to keep breathing, synthetic interior, does it include the suggestion, realize you in some book are a single organism? You could do this, do, and then instead of snow, it's pollen from the flowers. Stop them. We arrive too late at the end of the sentence in the place where our hands predicted a field in another season. You're already sneezing. There's wind, it's wild, some yellow bobbing heads, the field is sea. It's getting difficult to stay together inside the sea with its syntactical yellow posturing. I pick D. There is no single organism. This page is a membrane. There's a lot of mucus on this page. I'll just read a couple more. This one is called A Structure with a Recognizable Iconography, like a pop song. So distance from government on the plot or axis of pleasure getting away from, needing help from, also shifts. In the 80s, biology was terror and government could provide hope for gay people. Now the forces we imagine deployed against us include both. Thanks for being in this room with me, sitting for a portrait, while our own ecstasy remains mysterious to us and may be lost. Wherever we see evidence of the last administration in this thinking, tear the page. The room is filling with a substance like jello, like bread pudding, mud, or paint that could determine what kinds of things can happen, meaning cause other things to happen here and not just be waving around like arms. We may need the daffodils again soon, since there will be not just shifting light, but varieties of capacity as well as impulse for response. And this is the last one I'll read. It's called Timeshare. Eventually you're going to do it. Approach the orange object, pick it up, and wonder, what is it? Something you got for free on the plane, or something that got left behind in the sand? Two people who are not and were lovers get on a plane. They already acquired the tickets. On the plane, like everywhere, they're surrounded by a lot of orange objects, but only one of them experiences it. The other? One day, the right one will come along, the right orange object. You will discover there are words in it that don't try to contain you, but nor do they erase the possibility that your body could be breathing in and out in that environment. Which? The one on the page or the one you just noticed is surrounding it? A beach scene, maybe. Everyone likes those. You shrug, your hands begin to itch, wanting pages. No more hands, I'm sick of hearing about hands like oysters, the expert starts to shout. A baritone voiceover that shakes the whole scene, the sand, beach chairs, other vacationers, the towels getting wet, slaps of water from the pool as the volume increases. Whenever you hear hands, tear the page. While you examine the orange object, I go back in time, start tearing sentences and then hair, like it's the 90s and feeling is over and you just keep reaching for the glove box at that rest stop forever. You start to put on the gloves from the box, but I want you to be with the orange objects. I want to watch them disturb, rearrange your cellular functions, the workings of your internal organs. Nothing is leaking, but there is rearrangement, careful redesign. You could put the book down, but not deny that this is happening. This book is stronger than 500,000 animals taking off your shirt. I'm shouting from the next vacation rental over. This book is smarter than your shirt. You're banging on the wall. This book gives me a technological advantage in the form of time. We're not lovers anymore, you yell back. You don't need any advantage. You're getting softer like someone else's hands, and you're right, but this book is still banging on my chest, making me over into someone who knows how to want to read it or say. Thank you.